For the first time in nearly 3 years, I was able to visit Hersheypark this past July. They might have added a new coaster, something that has to do with a Wildcat that's going for revenge. But we'll talk about the upset or disappointment that was later. This was also the first time my nephew was going to get a chance to ride some big kid coasters, and ones not made by a mouse, including his first looping coaster. So sit back, relax, and let's take a look back at my visit to Hersheypark in July of 2023.
Chocolate World, and of course you got Skyrush and that glorious Hersheypark entrance.
You got Steven?
Ditto.
For my leg.
To accommodate all of our guests, Hersheypark is
Glorious B&M. Probably my least favorite. Still a solid ride.
Also, if you couldn't tell, this is going to be a hybrid vlog with some stuff that's recorded from that day and some things that are voiceover. I don't know why I just didn't film everything the first day, but you know, you live and you learn. So I'm going to immediately throw a disclaimer of we didn't really get on everything we wanted to, as we did have 4 little ones that weren't going to fit on all the rides.
Beezy, are you excited to be at the park? Are you excited? Steven, you excited to go on big coasters? You're gonna do the looper, right? Okay. First ride of the day. Because we got all these littles. I don't know. Easy, is these lines too long? You watching them? You want to go on that? No?
Started with Starship. Fun little spinner ride. Nothing too crazy. But then we had a few of the in-betweeners who wanted something a little more thrilling. So we headed to the back of the park in Trailblazer. In my opinion, the worst aero mine train ever made. And least thrilling.
1, 2, 3. Steven, you ready to go on the Trailblazer? It's like the Big Thunder. How was that?
Good.
For your first big coaster?
Yeah. But this is not big.
This is a bigger coaster.
This is not big.
You had like 4 helixes, man.
I was going to another one.
What about you guys back there?
We're alive.
You're live? What about these guys up here?
It was good.
At that point, it was time to do something with a little bit more punch. In my opinion, the best coaster at Hersheypark that I've been on to this point, Storm Runner. Punch from that hydraulic launch, the thing that's going to be few and far between in the coming years, the airtime off of the top hat, and then the what is it called? The twisted horseshoe roll, the whip getting thrown through that. I forgot how awesome a layout, even though it was short, Storm Runner is. Like, it hits you with everything every time, the whole time. Such a great ride. I'm very happy I was able to go on it again for the first time since my original visit in 2011, as it was closed because the cable needed to be replaced in 2020. At that point, it was time to let the little kids get on a few rides, so we found a few kiddie rides in the area, and the rest of them wanted to go on the mixed ride in front of Jolly Rancher Remix. Another plus about Hersheypark is kids' rides are scattered throughout the whole park. They are not just secluded in one area, which is an amazing thing in my opinion.
I think they had a kid coaster for under $5,000.
Did they?
Where? On like usedrides.com. Have not run at all today. At least not that any of us have seen. So,
Well, with my luck, Wildcat was closed for the day. Something broke. It was running the day before. Little did I know it would be closed for the better part of a couple of weeks. And if we would have went to the park the day earlier, we would have had the chance to ride it. But I guess there's a reason to go back next time.
And attention to check that bar before you depart the station. Thank you for your cooperation and enjoy your ride. For those of you waiting.
From there, we ended up at Laff Track. Again, we had a few little ones who were in that in-between. So the fact that they had coasters that were big, thrilling, and they could go on, they all loved them. So Laff Track is an indoor mock spinning wild mouse. These are fun as it takes you and spins you around. This one's a little bit better because it's indoors, so air conditioning, and as you can tell from this official POV, lots of theming. And it's just a fun, silly ride. Honestly, you can't help but laugh when you're on one of these things because you just don't know exactly which way the vehicle's going to spin, so it's never the same ride twice. And it was just a fun little ride, and the kids loved it. Then after that, we headed for some more of the little kid rides before hitting up one of the park's B&Ms.
the Kissing Tower and Jolly Rancher, Twizzler, Hersheypark, Kiss, and of course, Triple Toast.
So Great Bear. This B&M invert is known for its very unique and different layout, for lack of a better word. Starting off with a helix before entering the main drop, this coaster weaves and bobs around several other ones in the park. It always delivers a good punch ride with 4 inversions. And everyone's favorite, a lot of straight track. I still think this is a very underrated B&M, but it could use like one more element or two. Still a solid ride. After that, it was time to get some kids their first looping coaster credit, the Super Duper Looper. The only other time I rode this was my first visit, and it was one of the very early coasters in my coaster enthusiast journey. We also rode it in the dark, so it felt a heck of a lot more thrilling and enjoyable at night. Nowadays, the best part of that is that first drop in the loop. The rest of it kind of meanders. But it's a great ride to get kids into becoming coaster enthusiasts. From that point, it was time to go on Thigh Crush, or Skyrush. Name's up to you. I've been on this thing once before, and I literally thought, holy crap, what did I just ride? Like, it had tons of throw you out of the seat ejector, like, violently, let's whip you out of the seat, like, get off my freaking ride. But also, holy crap, this lap bar is killing my thighs. So going into this, I wasn't sure how I was going to feel, but at least I knew what I was getting myself into. Believe it or not, I don't know if it was just dumb luck, but I didn't feel like the lap bar was crushing my thighs. Like, it didn't feel the most comfortable, but it also was bearable. The ejector was just as strong and as violent as I remember the first time. That first drop, the fling because of the cable lift. I love a good B&M hyper, and I do not love the restraints on this. But if this thing had any other kind of restraint, I'd definitely say it's much higher on my list. But Skyrush might be in the top 3 for this park. This visit, it's top 2. It's number 2. At that point, my wife went off to go do a big kid coaster while I hung out with the little kids and took them on some kiddie rides. They ended up going on Fahrenheit, a Intamin I don't know really what you want to call this model. Let's just say it's a B&M built if it was built by Intamin. With a 97-degree drop and several inversions, I think it's like 7. It has a very unique layout, and from what they all told me, it was a great ride. This was my wife's second time riding the ride, and she thought it was just as good as it was the first time. I haven't been on it since 2020, but again, I still think it's a great ride. The layout's unique, the Cobra roll's cool, the drop, the 97-degree drop, I feel like you feel that beyond vertical drop more on this than you do Maverick, and it's a one of those unique coasters that you're only going to find at Hersheypark. Because we had little ones, I was able to get a new credit, and at least I ended my day off on a roller coaster. I got to ride the Coca Cruiser, a Vekoma family? No, Intamin family? Anyway, this family coaster is surprisingly got a good amount of laterals for a family ride, kids ride. I really don't know what you'd classify it. I'd say it's more family. It does several laps around this very simple oval layout with a helix. And yeah, in that helix, you definitely get some whippy laterals. Fun little ride. Definitely the best way for the kids to end their day at the park. They were able to go on one more coaster. And, you know, enthusiast, you gotta get the creds, man.
And that is my party on the coaster. Because I'm with these guys.
And from what everyone told me, Candymonium was still a really good ride, filled with lots of airtime, and in my wife's eyes, still the best coaster in the park. I still think it's Storm Runner, but you know, Wildcat could have changed that. It was her first time riding it since 2020, which was during the pandemic, so she got to ride it with a full train and after a long hot day. Overall, it was a really fun, hot, exhausting day at Hersheypark. Some overall thoughts. This park, the layout, while it is a lot of hills and you definitely get your steps in, the fact that they got, you know, flats mixed throughout, you've got the coasters mixed throughout, the family rides. We never once had to have our group split off to go in different spots because we did have so many different kids of so many different heights and age ranges. They all got to go on different things at different points of the day. One of my favorite things throughout the day was being able to take my daughter on a bunch of different rides. I went on like some truck ride with her. She got to do the little scrambler ride and a few other things that are eluding me. My nephew got to go on 3 new coasters that he had never been on, including his first looping coaster, and he loved that. One of my favorite things for the day was being able to finally get on Storm Runner again for the first time since 2011. I really forgot how much of a punch this was, and it still is my favorite coaster at Hersheypark. Like I said earlier, the top hat with the airtime on the drop, the twisted horseshoe roll, which I couldn't think of earlier, the Stangle dive. It's a great punch coaster. Just wish it was a little bit longer. A few other things that weren't mentioned earlier, or I didn't think to get clips of because, like we said, we had kids and it was a hot, crazy day. We did get food in the park. I ended up getting a Philly cheesesteak from this place in the park. It wasn't from Chicky and Pizza or any like name chain. It was pretty solid food. One thing, if you do go to Hershey, you have to make sure you get sweets. We didn't so much this time around, but in the past, you know, we've gotten the milkshakes, we've gotten the funnel cakes, and you know, outside of like Disney, if you're a foodie, this is a park for the foodies. But overall, Hersheypark still solid park, solid coaster lineup. I can't wait to see what they add in a couple of years. Hopefully I get back there sooner rather than later. I can finally get on another RMC, because that was one thing I was hoping for on this trip. But solid day at the park. Yeah, so enough of the voiceovers. Let's get to the final thoughts here from the day at the park. All right, one more interlude. You gotta visit Chocolate World when you visit. We went there the day before we went to the park. It's free. There's a free dark ride that shows you, it's basically a dark ride of how they make Hershey's chocolate. You get a free piece of chocolate at the end. Also, they had some bomb milkshakes there too.
And that's gonna do it from a very long day at Hersheypark.
Welcome to Hersheypark.
Kind of disappointed Wildcat never opened. Storm Runner is definitely best ride of the day. What was everyone's favorite?
Candymonium! Candymonium!
I'd say Storm Runner. I'd agree with Candymonium. I did not get on that one. But we'll make up for that next week. The bigger and better hyper. And maybe we'll throw a Giga in there too. So, we'll catch everyone in the next video and we'll see you in the parks.